This is Buddleia, lo and behold, blue chip, dwarf butterfly bush. And as you can see, it's a lavendery purple color, and it's a newer variety. I've only been aware of it for a year or two, and this is 2012. I've test grown it for a year now, and I really wanted to be convinced that it repeat bloomed. I've grown Buddleias for many years, but I've never had one that repeat bloomed for me. And I will say that this one does exactly that as promised. Secondly, what I really love about it as a design element is its size. This is a size that we use a lot in residential design, and they get about 3 feet by 3 feet in size. So far mine have been about 2 to 2.5 feet. And as you can see, beautiful flowers and lots of them throughout the summer. So in plant design, one of the main things I look for is year-round interest, or as long as throughout the year as I can get. And in this plant, we have two things working in our favor. We get a prolonged bloom during the warm season. These flowers are fragrant as well. And then the size is working in our favor. And this pairs well with a lot of different plants. At the end of the video, you'll see a number of plants that we recommend as companion plants. But just suffice to say, this medium size between 18 inches and 3 feet is a hard plant to find in terms of that colorful of a display at that size and at that time during the year, especially the heat of the summer. A lot of plants have kind of cycled out of their strongest bloom and do that more in the spring. And what I love about this is how it's still going strong in the heat of the summer. And just one of the things, I think it's a really good pairing with carpet type roses because it's a compatible size, and the color seems to be compatible with a lot of the carpet roses as well. So let's talk about maintenance. The downside to this plant is that it repeat blooms and the flowers are not self-cleaning. So in order to get the dead flowers off, you have to wait a long time, which you're waiting into winter, or you have to cut them off. And if you're going to get in there, you see how these brown flowers are still on the plant, and there's plenty of newer flowers as well. You've got to hand select the dead flowers, and that can be pretty tedious. The other way you can do it is you could shear this and push it back a bit and then just have it push a whole new flush. So that's a second way to handle that. So as you can see though, the flowers are still pretty dominant even though there's some dead ones on there. The plant doesn't look too bad. But I have seen photos of larger groupings of this that are in bloom, but there's so many dead ones on there. For me, it kind of it detracts too much from the good look of the new flowers. So I'd be inclined to have to maintain that and deadhead. And so the reason I'm talking about that is because that speaks to maintenance, and I would call this moderately high maintenance because of the deadheading. And also in the end of winter or leading into spring, you're probably going to want to push this back a bit to get it denser for you. I'm in California, an area we only get down in the 20s Fahrenheit during the winter. And I just leave this full size. A lot of the larger leaves fall off, but it still has leaves on the plant, so it's not as if you've got a deciduous shrub here, and that's another thing I like about it. Anytime I can have an evergreen shrub as opposed to a deciduous one, that's one I'm going to opt for. But we don't have the stronger winters that a lot of people do. My understanding is that these are hardy down to around 0 degrees Fahrenheit, by the way, so they can take a lot of cold, much like other Buddleias. But if you've got milder temperatures, I think they're going to be more evergreen for you, or kind of semi-deciduous, as we say out here. So great little perennial slash small shrub, and lots of bloom. I would say the bloom time for mine kicked in around May, and I've heard April as well, so April, May starts pretty early. And this film is taken during August, and they're still going strong. And my experience last year was mine bloomed right through until September, October. So very prolonged bloom, and hard to find a shrub with that kind of blooming power. And let's see, deer. So deer usually leave the Buddleia family alone. I don't have good experience with this one to speak to that. Deer sometimes chew on Buddleia, so I would tell you need to test grow this one and put one out and see how they respond to it before you go buying a whole bunch of these. But you know, it has the potential to be deer tolerant. You'll want to grow these in full sun to get the maximum bloom out of them. And water, I would say regular garden water. I've seen these be fairly drought tolerant, the Buddleia family, once they're established, but I'm not really convinced. And I think for your best bloom production, I think regular to low to regular water is probably going to work best during the summer. And feeding, anything that blooms this much is probably going to benefit really well from feeding. And I would feed these similar to roses. So once they've done a really big bloom flush, you probably want to hit these with a little food to support the next cycle. And that's what I can tell you about Buddleia, lo and behold, blue chip, dwarf butterfly bush. Excellent little shrub, great bloomer, great size. Check that one out. And to follow are a few companion plants that I recommend to go with this guy. Enjoy.